Hands are funny things. What the hell is that thumb doing way down there? Whenever I draw a hand, I always forget where the thumb is. It's way down there. Well, I opened a drawer in my pen area, and I found a bunch of pens that I put there and put sacks in, and I forgot all about them. And I don't remember these particular pens I put in that drawer, but I do remember when I got my first brown tiger striped, I don't know, tiger's eye, whatever this reminded me of at the time, brown sheaffer striped pen like this. And I just looked at it like lost in the iridescentality of it. And it was really quite lovely. Everything just in my little mind at the time, and my even littler mind, even more little mind right now, can be sort of mesmerized by this little pen. So I decided I'd buy it for myself. I may already have one of these. I do have to go through and see what sort of duplicates I have. And now my pens can be in so many different locations that it's going to be hard for me to make sure that I don't already have one of these, because it could be on my drawing desk, though it isn't. I know it's not there. It could be I might have a pen and pencil set, and it might be in my pen and pencil set area. It might be in a pen and pencil set box, which is in a different area. It might be in my sheaffer drawer. So, am I going to take the time to figure that out before I just throw it in a drawer of things to be filed away, or what? Who knows? And look what else I found. This is the same tiger stripe. This is in one of those, I don't know what these were called, Craftsman or whatever, but this one has a screw section and a visualated little thing there to see how much ink is in it, and it also has tiger stripes on the section. So it's a little bit fancy, I guess I can say. I know you won't think it's fancy, because fancy in your mind is how many ounces of solid gold is in the overlay and all that kind of stuff. But for me, fancy can be a striped visualated section on a rather humble sheaffer pen. I'm funny that way. Now both of these nibs, this was a lifetime nib, is a lifetime nib still, and this one is a number 3 nib, and both of them have only the slightest bit of flexibility, but in that slight flexibility I find some joy. What I don't find joyful about this pen, it's like slightly warped or something. The cap wants to sort of go up at the end, which doesn't really bother me, but let's see, what other pens did I find? It's not doesn't screw because this hasn't been screwed in all the way. There, now it will screw. Was yet another taperite, and this one had been sitting in a drawer waiting to get taken apart, and I finally used enough brute force to take the section out, which sometimes when you use brute force to do that, you end up breaking it. I didn't break it this time. Of all the caps on these pens, I think I like this one the best rather than the metal caps. But quite often this big gold band comes dislodged from the back of the cap, and you have to re-glue it on or something. This one has what appears to be a nice nib. Now, before you put a sack on a pen, the pen will write wetter by just dipping it. You really need to put a sack on a pen to have a sense of how it's going to write. When you just dip this in the ink and there's no sort of vacuum seal on the back, the ink falls out, just like your Coca-Cola falls out of the straw when you lift your finger off the end of the straw. So I have a feeling that if I were to put a sack on this, maybe I'll do a little video about that, and this is something that I forget about every once in a while when I'm buying pens at a pen show, because many pens at a pen show are not sacked, or sometimes they are sacked, but they were sacked 25 years ago until the sucker, me, asks the vendor, that person over there, can I try that pen over there? And they say, oh my God, good. I hope they buy it, because no one else would for 25 years. And that sack might have gone bad, and it might have developed a little hole in it so it doesn't have that reverse pressure. Look how dramatic my fingers are in this light. I kind of like this Fritz Lang, Orson Wellesian, David Lean light drama, Edward Hopper light. So I'll try the pen out, and I'll think, gee, it writes really, really nice, or whatever, however it writes, and I forget that when I put a sack on the pen, it'll write very, very differently if I dip it. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's see what else we have here. This one, what's this one? It's another one of these. Except this, it is a screw one as well. Oh, this is a touchdown. This is slightly thinner. Oh, sorry. Is it slightly thinner than this? Yes. See, I'm learning things. I would have thought, that these caps were interchangeable, but they're not, Blanche. So this is a little sheaffer pen that I don't need to keep because I know I have one of these, but really a sweet little nib on it. Again, if a nib is only going to have a range of this much rather than this much, small range, I really like them when they're either a stub, where it's nice to have a little bit of range, or if they're fine. If they're medium or broad and have a little bit of a flex to it, it's like it's wasted on me. I don't find that at all attractive. This one is a larger green sheaffer lifetime pen. I don't think I need this one. Seems to me I have one of these that has really nice engraving on the clip, initials of the original owner. So I don't need this one. So if you want this one, you, maybe I can sell it. It's the standard size. They made one size bigger than this. This is the standard size. Really a nice pen. Look at the visualated section is visualated. You can fill it up with ink and see how much is there. If you get one of these pens and you want to clean this, get out your Q-tip and clean the inside, make sure you don't take off the paint on the inside of the black area. That's just paint in there. And if you take it off, the whole thing will be clear and it'll look kind of ugly. So this has a very fine nib. Again, it would write if I had really, this ink that I'm using is who knows what. What does that say? Blue-black. And it's in a Waterman turquoise blue bottle, but it was blue-black ink from a blue-black quart bottle from Carter's from 1942 or something. So it's perfectly good ink for testing pens, but when I leave it uncapped, which is what I do, the ink turns to sludge. So there's a lot of sludge in there, which is not a good thing to do. Okay, but anyway, this pen is quite lovely, and I don't think I need it. Let's see, what else do we have here? This is a Swan pen. Swallow or Swan? Where's my, anyway, maybe Todd and Company. It's has a number 4 size nib. I've always liked Swan nibs because they have lots and lots of writing on them. It's like they have way more writing than they should have. Maybe they don't have any more than a normal pen. What does it say here? Swan 14 CT, maybe Todd and Company, made in USA. Okay, what's going on here? Why would they spell carrot with a C if it's made in the United States? Oh look, it has a little swan up there. There's a little swan up there, take my word for it. You can't see it because, there we go. See? Okay, why are you scratchy? Because the nib wasn't set right. This nib, I mean, I haven't played with this pen very much, and I think the nib can go a little bit further in. It's really a sweet little pen. Has just a slight suggestion of a stub, and it is slightly flexible like the one I said I like. So that's quite lovely. Did I have any feelings about this kind of plastic? I never really did. This kind of plastic, a lot of Parker Challengers were made of this kind of plastic, and I always felt it was maybe a little too pink for my tastes. What the heck is this? This is a Weidlich pen with a star nib. Now, I thought Star was made by Holland, both from Cincinnati. See, this is again like that Challenger kind of plastic. Needs a pressure bar. obviously. Very, very Christmassy. Okay, what's this one? A little more pen. Moors are nice pens, except their nibs are really fragile. You often find them cracked. Is this one cracked? Is there a crack coming? Yes, it is cracked. See? I told you. Could they just have... What's this? This is a Harris pen. Off-brand pen, steel nib, visualated section. You can see how much ink you have. Nice little semi-flexible steel nib. No, sorry. It is gold. And they spelled it correctly this time. KT. Oh, this is for sale. It's really a nice nib, actually, come to think of it. It's a warranted nib, I'm almost positive. It just says 14K, so it doesn't even say warranted. Warranted nibs are good to have because you can put them in any pen and it won't be entirely wrong. If you brought a pen that the nib got broken to a pen shoppy and the pen shop repairman did not have a Parker nib to put in the Parker pen, rather than putting a sheaffer pen nib in it, they'd put a warranted nib, so at least you're not making a true Franken pen. And there were many companies that, Wall, Eversharp for one, who, when they drilled a little hole in their in their gold seal pens to make them no longer guaranteed for life, they would yank out the Eversharp nib and put in a warranted nib. At least that's what I was told, and it makes sense. Even if they made them themselves, they might be, maybe this much less well made, maybe slightly thinner, or slightly less flexible or something, where they would replace a good nib with a slightly cheaper one. I don't know if that's true. Who knows? But anyway, 14K. That's a lovely little nib. That's for sale to you. I'll when I put sacks in them, I'll show you better. The Swan and the wide look I might want to keep. This one is an Eagle pen. Now I'm not sure whether this is a marriage or not. It has a yellow end and a yellow stripe. But it seems to me that it would have a yellow stripe on this end, but this is how I got it, and everything else looks good. So I'm just keeping it the way it is. An Eagle pen with a gold nib. Does it say Eagle, or does it say just 14K? 14K, and it's in a little shield. I forget what is that an Eagle company that had that little shield? Really sweet little nib. It makes me want, this size pen and this kind of nib makes me want to only write this big. It sort of goes from 0 to 30 rather than from 0 to 60, and it only goes 30 miles an hour in the driveway. And you live in a suburb that has very short driveways. One of my clients had a rather long driveway, I think it was a half a mile long. And it serpentinely went from the street to the house. And there were little signs, very nicely created and printed, nice font size and everything. Go slow was the first one. This is all wooded. You had no idea what was around the next corner because you couldn't see because it was so dense. So there could be a car coming at you and you're going this way. So go slow. The next one said slower. And the next one said 5 miles or 10 miles an hour exactly, or some whatever the speed was, 15 miles an hour maybe exactly. And then watch out for gardeners. Watch out for gardeners, I think. Sit up straight. And the last one was eat your vegetables. Anyway, you at the fork in the road, you had to decide whether you were a guest of the house and you'd go over here to the front door, or whether you were staff and you'd go this way to the carriage house and the garages and the back door of the house. And the house was called is still called the Chimneys, and it had 7 smokestacks. You know, if you just saw a picture of the house, you'd think it was like the Westinghouse factory or something. No, it had 7 chimneys, and each chimney probably was fed by at least 2, if not 4 fireplaces, I would think. I can't quite remember. It's a little hard to remember. Maybe some of them only had fireplace access on one side, but some of them were on both sides of each of the floors, I think. Smoke. I guess in wintertime it would have looked like, you know, the Ford factory or something belching out huge billowy smoke. But anyway, back to this pen. That's where it was. This pen can go from 0 to 30 in your driveway. That's only, 50 feet long. How big is a driveway normally? Here's your house. Here's your lot. Here's your house. Here's your garage. Here's your car. 1, 2, 3. Sort of 3 car lengths long. Whatever that equals in mathematical terms, 50 feet, 60 feet. This nib is good for that. This would be a nib I would use in writing a little tiny thank you note, or a note on the back of my carte de visite. Brad, I never want to see you again. P.S. Thanks for the clap. And I was being I'm sarcastic. Being sarcastic. See, that's what this pen is for. Thanking someone on the back of your carte de visite for giving you a venereal disease. See, there's the great red spot. The Jupiter pen. Okay, what else do I have here on my desk? What haven't I talked about? That one already. Talked about all of these. There's one that I did not talk about, and where did that go? It was a there it is. I found it. It's this one. This is a grip clip gem fountain pen made by the Gem Pen Company. The Gem fountain pen. I don't know who made it. It says Gem fountain pen, so maybe the Gem Company. And the pressure bar, as you can see, you can even see in the back row, has made this tumor. Now it's pushed. This was sitting somewhere in the hot sun or somewhere above the radiator next to one of the many fireplaces, and the hard rubber got soft and the spring pushed against the back of the spring where it's rounded, bent back, pushed against this and has deformed it. Now there might be a way for me to get take out the section. Are you coming out or not? I should soak it. But take out the pressure bar, heat this a little bit, and see if I can push it back to round. You can do that sometimes on hard rubber or plastic pens even, and sometimes plastic pens if they have a name engraved. If the name was not engraved but put in by heat, there was a little machine called the Nameograph. I used to have one where you could turn the knob and put the letter on it and then press this thing down. It would burn, melt the plastic. And plastic has a memory, and you put the thing over the heat and the name will go away, or the pen would blow up, or sometimes kind of both. You get all the way to the very last letter, and the pen will burst into flames and crash down onto the mooring mast and all the humanity. So this might be fixable, but what I like about this pen, I mean, there's nothing really necessarily to like about it. Does it have a gem nib? I do have a gem nib, I know, somewhere. Is this one a gem nib? Weidlich. Another Weidlich nib. Did this fit in the Weidlich pen? Take out the star nib and put this one in. Seems to me I tried that already. And they weren't the right size. Okay, which is which? Weidlich. See, no, they're not the right size. I do have a dozen or so. I don't know, a dozen is a lot. I do have maybe 6 Weidlich nibs in the nib area of my house. Now, I dropped the cap onto the floor, so before I walk and trod upon it, I need to I found it without stepping on it. You know what the sound of stepping on a pen cap is like? You know what the sound of stepping on a Mandarin yellow senior dual fold pen cap is like? I've never done that, but I have certainly stepped on. Oh, look, there's already a crack in this one. See, right there. Someone stepped on this. Could have been me. Could have, in fact, been me. Could have been I. Could have been me. It could have been I who stepped on it. Or it could have been me. God. I could have stepped on it. How about that? I could have been the one that stepped on it. hate when that happens. But anyway, I like it because of these little periwinkle or cornflower or whatever blue that is. So I'll keep it and I'll put it in my keeper drawer because you're not going to want it with the crack. What about this pen? This is kind of nice. Is this another Swan? Swallow? Weidlich? John Holland. It's a John Holland pen. What kind of nib does it have? It has a John Holland nib. It doesn't have a feed though. Oh, and it was owned by Flora B. Toller. I sounded for a second like John Charles Daly on the What's My Line show, where the guest would come in and sign in, and Flora B. Toller, and he would sort of read along as she was writing, so he didn't wait till she was done before. Okay, what about this one? Is this a Moore? What kind of pen is this? The Moore Writer. So this is a pen that they made, the Moore Pen Company made, probably slightly cheaper for the students of the world. I mean, if I didn't see that it said the Moore Writer, I would guess that this was a third-tier pen because of the Ooh La La fancy band, which is what Ooh La La pen companies would often do, is because the pen was sort of crappy, they would do something fancy somewhere else to make you not think of how shitty the nib is. Pardon my French. So the Moore Pen Company, the Moore Writer. See, this is another nib that I would not, because it's Moore for one thing, and also because of, well, mainly because it's a Moore. This is the one where I would go up and down the driveway on a small driveway at 5 miles an hour. But look at how pretty it is. It's this blood red on this gray, and the thing's sides are fluted. I wonder if I have some sort of neurological problem. I am having a hard time holding on to things lately. What do you say? Is there a doctor in the house? The Moore Writer. So I might just keep this in my Moore drawer. I don't like selling pens that I have a feeling might come back to me. Someone could very easily press down too hard on a nib and break it, and then they'll think that I sold them a bill of goods. I sold them a crappy pen, which in a sense I did. But they will forget that I said, don't press down. I mean, this pen will last for another 100 years if you don't press down too hard. But the nibs on some pens do not let you know that you're pressing down too hard. They don't have that voice. They're very meek about telling you. So you press down too hard and you break it. Okay, is there anything else in this drawer? So anyway, I've got some pens to fix today. Some pens to add to my collection. Some pens to sell to you, if you want some of them that are for sale. Send me an email, piergustafsonstudio@gmail.com. Just search my name on the web. You'll find my website. Send it to me. And say, I really like the pens that you show. Can you... See, the reason I don't have a store online or whatever is I'm forever changing my mind about a pen. If I put a sack in this pen, let's say I wanted to sell this pen, and I might very well sell it, but let's say I put a sack in the pen and I write with it for 3 minutes, then it's my new best friend. My BFF suddenly so it's hard for me to say goodbye to these things. And then, you know, I'll maybe in the end of a couple of weeks I'll say, okay, I can finally sell it, and that's when I should actually make the video and put them online. But it's just it requires planning, and I'm not good at that, as you know by watching my videos. They start at point A and they go to B and C and D, and then you'd think eventually it'll get to Z, but then I go back to A and then go to skip to L and go back to some other number. So if anyone stays with me until the end, good for you. And I'm sorry. Back where we started, look at this shadowing. I like this sort of dramatic light. Look at this piece of paper. This used to be virginal. And now look at it. Bye.